Okay, so first thing you see on my screen is the dictionary. And since I have it up in front of you, I'll just let you know what I've been doing is pulling phrases from the video we're studying and putting them together in the slides. It just saves us a little bit of time so that when we go to watch the video, you'll have a little familiarity. But since I have it up for fun, let's practice this phrase. This phrase, wananisawa, is it's common in storytelling when someone's telling a story and they want to say at some point. And you'll hear it a lot as you continue your video study and your transcription study. So let's practice one. Repeat after me. Wananisawa.
Wananisawa.
Yeah. It's kind of fun. The dictionary entry also describes that it's often used in oratory as a sort of riddle to imply that the action being described went for a long duration or perhaps suddenly changed. So we'll be keeping our ears out for this. I hear it all the time in stories, and it's a fun phrase. Okay, we have a fun class for today. We're gonna do some more video study, and I have the next few classes planned out for us because we're getting down to it. We just have a few left, and I want to make sure that I get a chance to share with you everything I wanted to. Ayuk eich sitini gonarchish hadia de yagi ya yagi at gadechit dis yudu sa guyadis tleikaka kajin yawachi yadis. It's the second day of the week. It's the birth moon, and 25 days have passed this month. Announcements for class. Welcome back. Again, today we're going to continue our transcription study of Neithiu Deshit, Antonia Jack. We'll talk about some grammar concepts, including coming and going. A lot of phrases related to places. Basically, I took concepts from the next segment of the video that we'll be watching, and I'll teach you those, and then we'll watch the video. So that'll be today. And then after today, we only have 3 classes left. So today, this Thursday, and then next week is our last week of classes, but those days will switch to Monday and Wednesday. Can you guys still make it? If not, they'll be recorded. You can catch them, and I'll make sure that they're easy to follow. Any questions about that? Okay. So jumping into class. Neithiu Deshit is the speaker we're studying. Let's practice her name. Starting with the end sound, this SH. So it'll be high tone double E and a pinch T. So repeat after me. Sheet.
Sheet.
And then starting with the D. The sheet.
The sheet.
Good. And then her whole name. Neithiu Deshit.
Neithiu Deshit.
Gonna teach. Neithiu Deshit in English was called Antonia Jack. She was from Atlin and belonged to the Kokhetan clan. This is a link to her video. I pulled this video from the Sealaska Heritage Institute playlist on Celebration. It was 1988. And her speech that we're studying is her introduction of herself and then the song that they're about to perform. So I organized some of the things that we're learning in her speech so far by topic. One of them is kinship terms. So even in the short couple of minutes that we've listened to so far, she talks about her dad and she says, "I'm his daughter." And then she also says, "my dad." So let's practice these phrases. Anytime you talk about a kinship term, you need to say whose relative that is. So, whereas in English we can just say brother, sister, mom, dad. Um, in Lingit, you need to say his sister or my sister or somebody's sister. You have to specify. Okay, so his daughter, repeat after me. Hudusik.
Who to seek.
Who to seek.
Seek.
Okay. So she's saying, I'm his daughter. We'll listen to that in the video. Next time she brings it up, or she emphasizes again, so she's talking about her dad, whose name is Jiqi. And let's practice his name, Jiqi.
Guy.
And so now she's specifying Jiqi instead of saying just their daughter, she's saying Jiqi's daughter. So let's practice this. Jiqi du seek.
Guy to
They
seek.
seek.
Good. And then my dad, repeat after me. Achish.
Achish.
Mm-hmm. And then she says this whole line, and let's practice it just a chunk at a time. So these first three words mean that's my dad. Repeat after me. Achish awa.
Achish.
Ach, ish awa.
Yeah. And then his name, and he is called. So repeat after me. Takujak yuduwasak.
Jack,
Jack,
you do us all.
Yeah. So how would we translate this phrase into English for our translation exercise?
This is my dad. His name is.
Yeah, good. And ayah would be this is. Aweh would be what? That is. So just coming back to our location specifying terms. Ayah, achish ayah would be this is my dad. Achish aweh, that's my dad. So that is my dad. And then what else do we have in this sentence?
You do us all.
Okay. Wasa duwasak lekachinach.
He is called.
Yeah, good. He is called, and then the nickname that she's talking about, Taku Jack. Good. So you khat duwasak would be I am called. If you take out the khat and just say you duwasak, now you're saying they are called. So one more time, let's just practice this phrase. Repeat after me. Achi shawa.
Ach, ish awa.
Achish.
Taku Jack, you duwasak.
Taku Jack, you
Jack,
do us
you
all.
do us.
Good. Okay. Couple other things she's starting to talk about are places. And since transcribing a video from a birth speaker is advanced level study, I've put together some of her terms so that we can gain familiarity before we jump in. The first two we've already gone over. Atlin's true name means big lake, and repeat after me. Atlin.
Okay.
Good. Okay. Next one, we won't practice until we hear it, but one of us thought we identified hearing klukshu, and we're gonna wait till we hear that one and get more information. We talked about the map, and just to give us our bigger picture, Nitliut the sheet was from here, Atlin. And so she'll be talking about a couple different areas or communities in this area. The next couple of lines we're going to hear include this grammar pattern that's used for designating a place, talking about a place where something happens. And she uses this phrase to say the place where we were in the very beginning. And so the pattern is you say the occurrence, for example, hayeyeti is where we are, or hayeyeti is we are there, and then you add this word yeah, and the yeah specifies that it's the place. So yeah means place. I'm going to type it out to kind of, I have to do a suffix. Yeah. Okay. So, hayeyeti would be, if I'm going to break this down, and I won't put it in bold, we are, and then you have your place. So let's practice saying these. So this top line, let's practice this one. Repeat this line after me. Hayeyeti.
Hayeyeti.
Good. That means the place where we are. And then she adds a couple words to say the place where we were in the very beginning. So in the very beginning is these first two words. So repeat these after me. Tlach shukanach. Yeah, and shukanach is originally or at first, and then tlach means very. So I'm translating this as in the very beginning. And then let's practice the last few words. Hayeyeti.
Hayeyeti.
Good. And then I broke it down here a little clearer. So again, let's practice the whole line. Repeat after me, just nice and slow. Tlach shukanach hayeyeti.
Shukanach hayeyeti.
Good. So very originally, we were to be place. This isn't how you would translate it in a story, but this is the step you take to get to that point of translation. You have to break down each word and then think about it and then rearrange it to make sense in English. English and Tlingit have different word order, so it takes a little bit of practice. So the place where we were in the very beginning. And then I pulled these from the dictionary so that we could see the entries without having to scroll through. So the word for very, repeat after me, tlach. And then first or originally, repeat after me, shukanach. Good. Yeah, shukanach at first or originally. And then this one is just, the dictionary entry for that word we talked about, yeah. And someone's dog is barking. Place. So repeat after me, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. There are a couple of examples in this entry that I want to use, that I want to practice. So the entry says used at the end of a verb, often with a vowel suffix attached at the end of the verb to create the place where the verb occurred. So the place where they walked around would be these three words, atwugudiya. So let's practice these. Atwugudiya.
Atvugudiya.
Atvugudiya.
Yeah, so Atwugud just means they walked around. Atwugudiya means the place where they walked around. It can also be turned into the way, but this is a different concept, and we'll talk about that at a later time. Okay, the place where we were in the very beginning. Last couple things we'll look at before we watch the video are post positions and direction and location markers. So, she'll be talking a little bit about going back and forth between communities. And when she talks about traveling, she'll say from this place to this place. So when you want to designate that you're going from somewhere, you add this word dach to the location. So repeat after me, dach.
Dach.
Yeah. Ah, that means from. You add it to the end of the location you're coming from. If you're in the location, you add the pinched X. We've talked about this with our self-introduction. It means I'm in Anchorage. And so she says Atlin. So repeat after me. Atlin.
Atlas.
Atlin. Yeti.
Okay. And then the opposite of dach would be deh. So repeat after me. Deh.
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 And if she's going toward Daislin, she would say, repeat after me, Daislin, deh.
Deslin. Deh.
So we'll listen to her saying that in the speech and write down her words. Don't get overwhelmed by this. I use this graphic as a reference, and anytime I'm learning a new post position, something designating toward, on top of, under, away from, I just try to find it on this graphic so I can get a visual. So this is one we just learned, dach from. De is toward. We talked about nach for nach, meaning through the mouth of. So you have this arrow, this line going through. That's nach. And I really like this visual for getting an idea of spatial relationships between things and people. Okay, so that's enough talk. Let's listen to the master. And I'm gonna open up this screen. I added some more segments. Last week I started to teach you about segmenting in the transcription software Elon. And it's a little tedious, so I made the next ones for us. These are just segments you enter into your software so that you know which part they're speaking in. And anytime I do transcription, I always, if I'm getting back into it for the day, I always start from the beginning and listen to the whole thing. Okay, so we're gonna listen to it now. Some of our lines get a little cut off. That's just because the text size I have it on. So don't worry about that part. Okay, here we go. Is that sound coming through? Okay, good. All right, here we go.
Lingit enach kwawe nesiw de sheet yowa hat do a sock. Jige washi achin taku jack atlandach who de seek away hat yaki. Jige de seek ach isha taku jack you do a sock. Chief Satin you atland Hatlach shu anach Sakshuana Hayayeti at Hwagut. Ach Nakstakat at Kaudua at Atena Hato Atlanke Hatiati.
Okay, any questions so far? Just reviewing our work. One thing I want to fix is the text size because I don't want it to throw you off. Like for this one, let's go to annotation mode actually. I bet that's what it is. Oh yeah. Okay. If you go into annotation mode, it shows you your whole line. So they were cut off the way we were looking at them, but they're all here. So I'll go back to the concepts we just talked about and replay them. So she talks about my dad. He was called Taku Jack. Let's translate these ones now. Okay, so from the beginning, we translated the first section so far. And so what I'll do is I'll hit play for this section. We'll listen to Nehiu Deshit say it, and then we'll repeat it after her. So here we go.
Lingit Enach Kwawe. Nesu the sheet yo hot do a sock.
Okay, that's a long one. Let's break it down. So the first section is in Lingit. So repeat these words after me. Lingit Reinach Kua Owa.
Lingit Ena Kua Awa.
Awa.
Nehiu the sheet you owecha duasak.
You the sheet you awa Khatdua Sa.
Good. You sound good. And that was in English. In Tlingit, I'm called Nehiu the sheet. She adds some extra words here. To me, it sounds softer and nicer, like was the first words we're hearing from her. So she doesn't just say Lingit Reinach, Nehiu the sheet, you chatu asag. She adds these couple awa and koa awa. But to me, listening to it just sounds softer. And then she's very humbly saying, perhaps you've heard of my father, Taku Jack, Jake. So I'm going to play this one.
Jige. Washi Achin Taku Jack.
So repeat after me. Jike Gwashi Achjin Taku Jack.
Jige
Jiggy.
Wash
Kwashi.
Achjin Taku Jack.
Yeah. Any words you recognize? We haven't studied these. How about Gwash? Have you guys heard of this word Gwash? What does the Gwash mean in English? If we're curious, we can look it up together. And it's in the dictionary. Let's go. Gwash. Oops. Gwash. Oh, my keyboard turned back to English for some reason. One sec. Gwash. Okay. So gwash means maybe. And I'm going to go back to my transcription and replace gwash with maybe. Because now I'm translating it into English. Yi achjen means you've heard of him. You all have heard of him. Taku Jack. So she says Jake, and maybe you all heard of him, Taku Jack. Next line.
Atlandach.
Okay, repeat after me. Atlandach.
Atlandag.
Atlinda.
Ah, good. What does this one mean?
From Helen.
Yeah, from Atlin. Next one.
Who the seek away Khatiati?
Okay, repeat after me nice and slow. Hu dusik owaye
Who do seek away ye
Yeah. So we have this line we learned, hu dusik. Do you remember what it is from a moment ago? This one is from our kinship terms. Hu dusik, his daughter. And then he'll also say Jaqay dusik, Jaqay's daughter. So let's change this to his daughter. Awayehatyati is I am. That's me. So we're gonna switch the word order. That's me will go in the beginning. That's me, his daughter. Hudusi awayehatyati. I might change this in English. That's me. I'm his daughter. I am his daughter. When I get to this phase, when I review my work with a mentor, that's where it's fun for me to see their thought process. Like, how would you translate this? And then this line,
Jike to seek.
repeat after me. Jaqay dusik.
Okay, to seek.
to seek
Ah. So this one means Jaqay's daughter. Come on. Here we go. Jaqay's daughter. So now that we've translated a few, I'm going to play the whole thing so we can read along and see our work and be like, oh, I caught all these string of words together in her speech. So let's take it from the top. We're just going to watch and enjoy our work.
Lingit enach kwawe. Nesiw the sheet yawa khatdua sak. Jike. Kwashi achin taku jack. Aslandach. Who the seek away Khatiati? Jike to seek.
You guys feel comfortable with that so far? Anyone feel like struggling a little with what we've listened to? Okay. What I like about this is that in the moment sometimes when I'm watching a fluent speaker on stage, I'm struggling to hear. And doing this gives me a little bit of confidence like, okay, I can listen to a speaker for 30 seconds and understand everything that they've said so far. So that's what we're doing is the background work that it takes to start understanding our master speakers when we get a chance to hear them. Okay, so here I am. My name's Neithio Deshit. Perhaps you've heard of Jaqay, also known as Taku Jack. I'm his daughter. I'm Jaqay's daughter. So she's very softly humbly introducing herself. And then she repeats it. So let's do this. The next line.
Ach ishawa taku jack you do a sock.
Okay, nice and slow. Repeat after me. Achi shawa taku Jack you do wasak.
Ishawe
Ish awe
you
taku jack you do a saw.
Yeah. And then how would we translate this line?
My father.
Yeah, my
Father's
father.
name is Taku Jack.
Yeah, good. My father's name is Taku Jack. Oops. Good. Okay. Next line.
Chief Satin.
Repeat after me. Chief Satine.
Chief
Chief
Satine.
Satine.
So I'm taking a guess on this one, and when I'm doing transcription, if I guess, then I note it with a question mark. That tells my mentors when they review my work that I'm unsure of what I put here. I hear her saying chief and chief city, and this this is the verb pattern for someone to be something. It can be a profession, it can be a clan, and this decessive form sati would be they are a chief. Satian would be they used to be a chief. So I'm gonna show you in the where I am pulling this from in my memory. So I'm gonna go to the online verb database, Lingit verbs, um, and I'm gonna look at sati. So it comes from the root T. And I'm going to expand this first one to be, I'm looking for the theme that matches what I hear her saying. So the underline X and then city. Here we are for be or become. We have our underline X added to our P. What does P stand for? Person? Oh, member of a group. And then the city. So I'm going to expand this. And if you expand a meaning in the online verb database, you can scroll down and find all these examples. So, noun city, he or she is a noun. Noun city, they singular, they became a noun. So she said chief city. That would mean he became a chief. And I'm scrolling through to try to see if I can find that decessive, not potential decessive. Satine. I don't see it in here. So for now, we have a little bit of this. So the potential is what's adding this na sound. But this part is the same for decessive. It means they used to be. Satine. So that's where I'm getting it from. So they used to be a chief. And back to our project. I'm going to translate this as he, because we're talking about Achish, my dad. That's why we're using he. He was a chief. And then I'll do the same question mark. Then when I go over this with my mentor, I'm gonna be like, is this right? And then we'll listen to it together. Okay, next line.
You Atlant.
Repeat after me. You Atlink.
You
You
Atlant.
You Atlant.
Yeah. It just means over there in Atlin. Over there in Atlin. And then let's play on the next line.
Hatsachshuanach.
Okay, I'm gonna play this whole section so that we can hear the whole thing together. Sometimes when speakers are talking, they'll start to say a phrase and then stop and think about it, and then either say it again or say it a little differently. And it's good to listen to the big picture. So I'll hit play.
Hatsachshuanach. Chachshuanach ayayeti. at goed.
I have a question mark here, but actually I've since looked it up and I feel comfortable with my spelling and the meaning. So do you guys remember what this means? That's okay.
Our very first time.
Yeah. So tlach would be in the very beginning. Would add the meaning of our or us ha. But she starts to say it that way and then she restarts, and now in the second time she puts her ha closer to the verb where it belongs. So this is just part of speech giving where you start to say something and then correct it later. And so I'm just going to translate it as in the very beginning and then translate the next whole line.
At goed.
So let's repeat this one just by a couple words at a time. Repeat after me. Tlach
Lach shulchanach
Shukana.
hayeyatiye
hayeyati
Ayayatiya.
atchwagut.
at chwagu.
Atchwagu.
Good. So again, we have tlach, which is in the very beginning. Hayeyatiye. This is part of this verb pattern, adding ye to an occurrence to designate the place where that occurrence happens. Hayeyati means we are. So hayeyatiye would mean the place where we are. And I'm going to loosely translate it, the place where we are. Atchwagut is I walked to it. I walked to it. Okay, so I translated these by section, and of course they don't make sense together the way they are, so let's rearrange. In the very beginning, the place where we are, I walked to it. I translated this as I walked to the place where we were originally, or in the very beginning. So I'm just going to rearrange. I walked to the place where we are we're in the very beginning. So this is a little messy the way I'm doing this, but I'm still learning how to break it down. I walked to the place where we are. I'm going to change are to were in the very beginning. And then I'm going to hit play again. So here it is a little slower since it's a long sentence. I'm going to slow it down to 80% and play it again. Any questions about that one? Okay, so we're almost at a full minute of our translation, and I'm gonna play it from the beginning now. So we understood 30 seconds of it. Now we're at a whole minute. That's pretty good. So I'm gonna start. Yeah.
I had a question on the walking part.
Yeah.
I'm guessing that doesn't mean literally walked, or does it?
Let's take a look at it in the dictionary. And that's a good point. Sometimes you can see from the larger story as you listen to the whole thing that maybe there's a context that makes it mean something else. But let's look at it in the dictionary and think about it. So the first resource I'll take you to is the online verb database. And I'm going to go by verb root. So atwagut. The verb root is gut. Atwagut. So to go, walking, and let's see. So we have this one has a T. Atwagut. Let's see if this one means. There's some really fun terms here that give us more use of the word. Let's see if we find atwagut. Atwagut. Oh, atwagut. That's interesting. This looks like the negative form, but she's using the positive form. I arrived there. So I arrived there, but good still has an implication of going by foot. But then again, in Lingit, like if at a lot of events I go to, we'll say "Yekehad That means it's good you came here, but gut is like you walked here, and maybe you drove there, kind of assuming you walked. Does that answer your question?
Yeah, I think so. And I'm just kind of struck also, it's just really beautiful of the way it's kind of framed like maybe she said, I arrived there at the place of our very beginning. And just, yeah, it's kind of poetic. So thank you for going into that.
Ah, okay. Yeah, I love studying master speakers because they're speaking to their audience. And when you get someone performing that type of oratory, you learn a lot more than just the Tlingit language. You learn a nice way to welcome people, a nice way to put things, like making it an art. Okay. So let's dig deeper and see what happens. Like now we have these questions about the larger story. Did she literally walk somewhere? Where is this place? Were they in the very beginning? And we have to keep listening and studying to find out. So next line. I'll start it here. I'm start from the top and then we'll listen all the way to that part. Atwagut.
Lingit Class.
I'm gonna speed it up to 90, so it'll still be a little slower than her speech rate, but it'll be a little more natural sounding.
Lingit Class. Nesu the sheet yo hot do a sock. Jigay. Was he achin taku jack? Aslandach. Who the seek away hot yaki? Jigay to seek. Ach isho taku jack you do a sock. Chief Satin. You Asland. Hat Lakshuanach Hayayeti at Wagut. Ach Nakstakat at Kaudua at.
Okay, so now we're at this next line where she stammers a little bit. She starts to say her phrase and then she's like, no, wait, is that right? She corrects herself. And then there's also a word she says at the end that I'm not yet familiar with. So this is where I want to teach you guys to use some discerning to find out, to decide, okay, is that where she wanted the sentence? Did she want to include that sound or was that a mistake? And then also when you come across a word that you don't know what it is, you sound it out and then you start looking it up. So I'm going to show you that process. So I'll play it again.
Ach Nakstakat at Kaudua at.
Okay, so this first two words, repeat these first two words after me. Achnaq,
Achnak.
No.
No.
Yeah. And then that's it for now because I want to look up the other ones. But this phrase, achnak, has anyone heard it before in a speech? Yeah, you might have. Um, one way I've heard it in speeches is when people are talking about someone passing away or walking away, you'll hear these words achnak or hanak, and it means away from. So I'm going to show you how I broke down the phrases that I think I heard, and then I'll show you my process for looking things up when I'm trying to explore. So this is sort of our exploration phase of our project. So, achnak kaudua ut is what I think I heard with some other words in between, but this being the basic concept. And I think it means they left me. And I'll show you how I arrived at this guess. Again, since it's a guess for me, I'm still learning and doing the groundwork. I note it with a question mark. And achnak would be me or my, nak from, and then kaudua ut. I think it means they left me on foot. So I'll go to show you my process. I'm starting with this question. Is this what they're saying? Achnak. I recognize achnak from a speech I heard earlier. And now I'm starting to look things up. So I pulled this from the dictionary, nak, and it means away from or leave, away from it, leaving it behind. And so it's starting to line up with my initial recollection, where I think I've heard that in speeches when somebody passes away. I think I've heard ha nakugut, they left us. They left us, yeah. So leaving it behind kind of lines up with what I think I'm remembering. So now I know I spelled it correctly, nak. And the en dash attached to the beginning of it in the Lingit dictionary tells you that something needs to go there. So away from who? Oh, I'm talking about me. And so I'd put achnak, my, away from me. And then as I scrolled through the dictionary, I looked through for different appearances of achnak, and I'm finding example sentences. So again, I'm exploring. I hear something she said, and I'm not sure about it. And I'm looking through the dictionary and finding all these appearances to try to build a pattern in my head of like, oh, okay, this is the type of situation where you use that. This is the type of meaning it implies. So we have this whole verb theme, nak, and then yaudahan, which would mean flee or run from. The han is not the word we heard. So that part, we're going to replace it with whatever we find next. So, achnaka yaudahan, he fled from me. But the part that's lining up with what I need is this from me meaning. Achnak, from me. Okay. The second part that I heard, that I think I heard, is kaudua ut, and it was a short high AT at the end. Of course, when you look up verbs in the dictionary, they're all entered as long, low verbs, verb roots. But what I would do, so this is the Naish Story yellow covered verb dictionary, and I screenshotted this section for Ot because I think she said kaudua ut. And what I'm looking for are examples where there's a ka and a da for cow, or not da, but kaudua ut. The dua is, I think, the fourth person subject, so it happened. The closest thing I see so far, just looking at these, are this ayodeut, to turn back, retreat, return, go back walking. And it's not quite what I heard because I heard a ka kauduat. But this is kind of close. And so that's all to say, this is still a giant question mark for me, but I'm getting closer. Like I'm doing the exploration, I'm learning as I go. And I even if I'm grasping and reaching in the dark, I'm still starting to put together a mental picture and getting a little bit closer to understanding what she's saying. And then the last thing I want to mention is that, okay, now that I'm have this question mark in my head, achnak kauduat, I'm gonna start listening and noticing. Like you know when you want to buy a car and then you start seeing that car everywhere? That still happens with Tlingit expressions that you're looking for. So achnak kauduat is still like I'm thinking about it now. So then today, when I was scrolling through a story, I saw similar. I see this dunak huskaudikit. And so this is different from the sound I heard kaudikit. I heard kauduat. But I'm still finding examples of that phrase. I'm always keeping an ear out and an eye out for them. So that's getting into more into the weeds when you're making that change from intermediate to advanced in your learning. You're picking up tools on the way. But since we're almost at time, I'm just going to play it, that one line once more, and then I'll talk about what we're going to do for our next classes. So, for me, I'm just like, what? But I'm just going to play it again, and here we go.
Achnak stakat at tak at kauduat.
I'm guessing this means they all left me. But I'm just going to put a question mark here as a placeholder. They all left.
Oh, and they all left.
I know. And so then listen to what she says next. She starts to laugh. So she's like starting to tell a story to make people laugh. Here we go.
Achnak stakat at tak at kauduat. Akena hato atlan ke hatiati. Wanai so on.
So she's kind of laughing it off. I was the only one there in Alan. I'm excited to hear where the story goes next. Come on, where's my cursor's being weird? I'm gonna save this.
Hatu.
Oh, good. Okay. So, did you guys enjoy that? Okay. Okay, good. Thanks for bearing with me. It's a lot of digging around and exploring. It's a lot of concepts we learned. And then on top of that, we're using the Elon software. Good skills to learn. But now that we've done all that, so that was pretty challenging to me, and I think for anyone. But now that we've done that, we're going to take a look at an easier resource we can use that's going to use language that's more familiar to us. And then on top of that, it's broken down where we can study it together and then watch it together. So I think it'll be an easier version. And that is this book. So have you guys you've seen Kuhanti, right, on YouTube? The story of Kuhanti. It was published by, okay, some yes, some no. It was published by Gold Belt Heritage Foundation in partnership with Tlingit and Haida and Khune, Keotuish and Shaksani Shaksani is her name. Marge Dutson and, yeah. What's Keotuish's last name? George Davis gave this story. And it's exciting because all the words in the story are put together the way that I put our screenshots from the dictionary. So we can study them, but the best part is we have the video and then we also have the whole thing already transcribed. So our task will be to translate it after studying the words. So that's what I was thinking we would switch to for Thursday, unless you guys would rather continue working on Neil the sheet. What do you think?
I like your Thursday idea.
Okay. Anyone else? Okay. We'll go with Kahanti on Thursday, and yeah, we'll see where it goes. Shuhan. Any comments or questions before we go for the day?
On the front of
I'm just
her,
happy that we're back.
What's that?
I'm just happy we're back.
Yeah, good. Me too.
on the front of her dance shirt, does it look like a star or a sea star above her seaweed?
Oh, on Kahanti?
No,
Oh, Nishu the sheet.
yeah.
Oh, good question. Let's look. I didn't even think about that.
I'm trying to find the Kuhundi story. Can you tell me how to spell it?
Yeah, I can. Actually, I'll just do you one better. I'll put the YouTube in the chat, and then we're gonna look at Nishu the sheet's shirt.
Gunishish.
Uh,
Ah, sure.
okay, so here's the Kahanti. Put this in the chat. Okay, there's the YouTube channel for Kahanti, and then let's look at her shirt. Can you guys see what pattern is on her tunic?
Your screen.
I don't know. It does look like a star here. So does that line up with her crest for Coqueton? Because she's Coqueton, people of the cellar house. Raven with children would be the primary crest. Secondary crest would be muskox. But maybe that would be on the back of her tunic, yeah. Pretty. Good question. Okay, we'll keep an eye out when she turns around. But that's all the time we have for today. Gwyneth Chi Yuhan.